Okay, so let's take a look at your original swing. You also will see, you do have this long swing, and you'll see when we hit, it actually compacts itself from what we're trying to do in the through swing. But the bottom line is you have basically 6 things that can create some sense of power. We can have your shoulders, hips, and the wrist, which I call the group that gets people in trouble. Because when we start trying to use the shoulders and the hips and the wrist as a force, they are part of the motion, but not really part of the force of the swing. And the force will create the motion, which creates the hips and shoulders. The hips, shoulders, and wrist are part of the slingshot of the release of energy more than not as much as in the force. What we the 3 grouping we want to focus on was the pressure used from the ground. That pressure will move your core and the arms and how they swing. So we just have to separate that. And the first drill we did that was just turn a club upside down. And we have an impact bag. You could just have a pillow comforter, throw it down on the ground, turn a club upside down. In this drill, we're doing a couple things here. Once we get set, you're going to have this arm across your chest, near your belly button, and this is feel like it's hugging your core and pinning your left part of your arm against your body, having this super relaxed. So your wrist is in extension, meaning it's bent, and we don't want flexion where it flips over. It's going to maintain that angle. You'll feel no instinct to hit from this wrist. It can unhinge, but it can't go to flexion, which is your swing. That would be flexion with your wrist right there. That's flexion. We don't want that. So in your swing, so what happens here is from there, we're going to work from that. Now, your natural motion, again, is once you get up here and you start loading, you've got all this loaded energy in your swing. And the problem here is this shoulder is going to keep turning too long. It's trying to get speed. So it turns away from the ball. Once it turns away or moving the force up here, not from the ground, your right hand has to flip it. And you're going to time where that thing lines up. But finding the bottom consistently is what's hard to do. And then you're going to have these symptoms like you can't stay down, you're swinging too fast, and all this effort. And you can slow it down a little bit trying to time it, but different golf clubs, it's tough to have to get your timing. So we're going to work on how to apply better force, get better angles for leverage, make these will make the misses better, more consistent. So we'll go back to this feeling here. You're pushing, moving the core feeling, which is a rotational feeling from the middle of your body. And that you can feel that's your lateral, that creates that lateral bump. Right here, that's creating torque from the ground. Your right arm is still in this bent position and flat and kept extension. You're hitting the bag, but not a flip. This is the flip. You can see how your shoulder turns and flips, and here we're hitting with the opposite force. And this is where you're feeling power from the ground and your core. So all the energy's down here, and it's from the ground at lower and out of the shoulders and the wrist. The wrists are just moving because you have to. So there's your power in your swing. You'll start seeing your backswing in these drills will compact. It'll get more, your swing's a little long here, but it actually will compress just because if you're trying to get power here, sometimes golfers get long here because they're trying to get speed up here. They have a longer backswing to help them get more speed, but once they get power down here, then the backswing will start compressing. So that's just a feeling of just kind of getting the feel of that power from there. We took the club, we turned it up, right side up. Now you're just hitting the bag. Right here, what you're doing is you're feeling that force, same thing, and now you're just compressing, and what you're feeling at impact. You're feeling this is staying in flexion, and this is now an extension. And that front shoulder, without a thought, never had any sense to come around because now you're using your core to help create compression, not shoulders for speed. And that's the force. It's your core muscles, your arms and the ground hitting that bag as a force of energy. Now the speed is basically this thing slingshotting past that. Let's see what we got. First couple you kind of just held. So you can see how your backswing, because of the new job, see it already already tightened it up a little bit, because you know but you're having to do this here. Your backswing also got more compact. See how your arms stayed more in front of you, and less movement from the arms and the shoulders at the top. Eventually you won't need that because you're trying to get power to the bag. So your body will instinctively compress its backswing to accomplish the job. It's going to feel like it's going to get power from here. So you're never thinking about shortening your swing, but what happens is because you're trying to create power here, your backswing will figure out it doesn't really need all this extra stuff up here, and it'll just compress it. And you can see that's what happened here. This gives you a more of a cleaner look of stability anyway, but that was more organic happening. You didn't focus it. Your mind is going down to hit the bag, and there's your force. How well you move in that force is going to create that look of that leverage and extension instead of the turn and flip. You can see how your shoulder naturally is not trying to spin away anymore. So we did positive energy, which means we're doing something, not doing something. So if you tell yourself to not do something like slow down, stay down, anything to do with any restriction is negative energy. We're always doing positive. We're trying to do something to create a force and a release of energy. We're never doing not doing something. You can see right here at impact, you can see here that's already getting a better line than over here where this thing's flipping over. So you can see how your shoulders and your hips are in a whole different position. Again, we didn't really try to do a position. We created a force, and then that force creates a slingshot. And the slingshot for you will be basically your belt buckle, your chest, your shoulders, arms, all as a unit. Just let it fly through there together. You won't have a sense that you're doing anything in your hands. Your hands will naturally, like they're doing here, they're unhinged correctly. That will happen naturally. You're just going to release all that energy through. This is the drive. You already see, even in the drive, you've got that more of a fuller, stable backswing. It got more compact. So we're going to compare a couple things with some pros. Let's go to, so part of this, he's just hitting an iron here, but the key thing, we're going to see the sense of that, see how he's creating a leverage to the bag. You can see how his body isn't trying to spin away. It's just going down and compressing. And that compression turns into the chest, arms, release of energy that way for you. The next one's Jon Rahm. I picked these two because if you saw them visually, it looks completely different in the backswing. However, how they create leverage, the same thing. They're compressing a force of energy into release of energy. So this is that drive. Your last one you hit really well. You can see you're going down to hit the bag, and see how you add that angles that you got there. That's a big difference for you to get this naturally, so that for you to have that hand not do that without being restrictive is a big thing, and you created a force of energy for that to happen. Your hands are quiet. They're going to release the club like a slingshot naturally. All you're doing is still right about here, is you're just going to feel your chest, hips, and shoulders being a part of this slingshot, let it fly feeling, and your hands will release themselves. So you won't feel like you have to do anything, but just feel like you're hitting the bag and let it go, and that gets you that leverage position. Justin Thomas, all these have different look swings, but when they go to impact, you're going to see the same one thing in the common, they will have that. Applying leverage to something. This is Roy. It's just a wedge here, or 9, some short club. But he's still going to apply. You see that he's still trying to apply leverage the same way. So this is just kind of keep working on these drills, worked on those things with that one. I like this last, it was a great drive where you feel that force and then let it fly.